There are seasons where everything around you moves and you're still, where prayers feel like whispers lost in the wind. You wonder if God truly sees you. Why is there no answer, no shift, no sign? But here's the sacred truth. Heaven is not ignoring you. Heaven is building you. Imagine this, a seed in the soil buried in darkness. No applause, no recognition, just silence. But beneath the surface, roots are growing. Anchors are forming. And when the time is right, that seed will break the surface, not because it forced its way, but because it was ready. So if you feel hidden, overlooked, buried under the weight of waiting, remember the seed. God doesn't plant unless He intends to grow. You're not being buried. You're being planted. Let me ask you something quietly, heart to heart. If God gave you what you are praying for right now, would it bless you or break you? Sometimes love looks like protection. Sometimes mercy feels like delay. But it's not a delay. It's a deep work. He is breaking old patterns, stripping away what cannot remain, teaching you to breathe again. Because the person you were won't survive the place He's calling you to. Transformation always happens in the dark, when no one claps, and only heaven sees. And yet in that secret space, something sacred grows. There are moments you'll cry alone, not because you're weak, but because your soul is stretching. Growing pains, spiritual labor, and just like birth, the pressure increases before the promise is revealed. So don't quit in the contraction. Don't run from the tension. This is holy ground. Joseph didn't arrive at the palace overnight. His path was carved through betrayal, abandonment, false accusation, and years in the shadows. But all of it shaped him. The prison didn't kill the dream. It refined the dreamer. Maybe you're there now, in a place that feels too tight, too quiet. But what if you really knew that God was using every unseen day to prepare you for something you cannot yet imagine? No platform can sustain what your character cannot carry. That's why He builds in private. Not to punish you, but to protect the promise inside you. Faith is not loud. Sometimes it's just showing up again, making the bed, washing the dishes, opening a Bible with a tired heart, whispering prayers through tears. That's faith. God isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for surrender. For the one who says, even when I don't see it, I'll stay. Even when it hurts, I'll trust. Because some of the most beautiful things heaven ever released came through broken hearts willing to believe again. So if no one has told you lately you're doing better than you think, God hasn't changed His mind about you. His hand is still on your life, and He is still writing your story, not with shortcuts or applause, but with depth. Your silence is sacred. Your struggle is seen, and your waiting is not wasted. Not every storm is meant to be stopped. Some are sent to clear the path. So breathe, beloved. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be for God to do exactly what He intends to do. Don't fear the slow days. Don't despise the process. Even in stillness, God moves. Keep walking, even if it's trembling, even if it's crawling. Movement with faith still moves mountains. You were never meant to build your future alone. So put down the pressure. Pick up the promise. He never asked you to do it all. Just to trust. You're in the furnace, not to be destroyed, but to be refined. Gold never fears fire, because fire only proves its purity. And sometimes the most anointed people walk through the darkest valleys, not because God is absent, but because He is closest when we are raw, surrendered, and real. The weight you feel is not random, it's preparation for what you've been called to carry. So don't give up now. This is just the beginning. But let's be honest, the hardest part is not the fire, but the waiting, the silence, the slow days when nothing makes sense, and everyone else seems to be moving forward while you're stuck in place. You scroll through highlight reels and wonder why your reality looks more like a paused screen than a story in motion. You start to question, did I miss it? Did I do something wrong? Is God still with me? But here's the truth. No one tells you often enough. God doesn't rush masterpieces. He is not a microwave God. He's a slow cooker. He lets things marinate. He layers things deeply. Because what he's doing in you isn't small. It's generational. It's eternal. And sometimes that means pulling you away from the noise, from the people who affirm you, but don't align with his purpose for you. It means shutting doors that feel like rejection, but are actually redirection. It means saying no to something good now, to make room for something sacred later. If it feels like you're walking through wilderness, it's because you are. But wilderness is not the absence of God. It's where he speaks loudest. It's where manna falls. It's where identity is revealed. Jesus himself was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, not by mistake, by divine design. Because before you stand in power, you must first learn to kneel in private. God is more concerned with your roots than your reach, more interested in your obedience than your performance. He's not trying to get you to a platform. He's forming someone who can carry weight without cracking. That's why it hurts sometimes. That's why it's confusing, because he's doing heart surgery, quietly, carefully. And not everyone will understand, but you will. There's a version of you on the other side of this season that will look back and thank the version of you who didn't quit, who worshipped through tears, who believed when it made no sense. You're being shaped in silence, strengthened in surrender, anchored in adversity. Your story won't sound like anyone else's because your calling isn't a copy. So stop comparing your pace, your process, your timeline. God works in chapters, not highlights. And sometimes he'll keep you in a hidden place, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Because public promotion without private preparation is dangerous. If you feel misunderstood, good. So was Moses. So was David. So was Esther. So was Jesus. Chosen people are often lonely people, but they are never abandoned. So don't mistake isolation nor run for abandonment. God isolates to incubate. What's growing inside of you is too important to be exposed too early. No, you don't owe the world your process. You owe God your yes. Stay with him, even when your prayers echo back as silence, even when your efforts seem invisible, because he is weaving glory into your waiting. Sometimes the most supernatural thing you can do is keep showing up. Keep saying yes. Keep loving without applause. Keep believing even when the lights are off and the doors are closed. Because faith isn't proved by outcomes, it's proven in obedience. And every time you choose to stay planted, you defy hell's plan to uproot you. You are not disqualified by your doubts. God is not surprised by your questions. He is patient with the honest heart. So if all you have today is a mustard seed of faith, that's enough. Mountains still move. He hasn't forgotten what he told you in the light just because you're walking through darkness. He hasn't changed his promise just because your circumstances look different. What's ahead is not ordinary. That's why the process feels extraordinary. It's not easy, it's not quick, but it is worth it. Because when God gets finished with this version of you, you won't walk, you'll run. You won't survive, you'll soar. No, you won't explain yourself, you'll embody his presence. So keep going. You're not stuck, you're stationed. Strategically, sovereignly, for such a time as this. And when it breaks open, and it will, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was God, the same God who carried you through the valley, who whispered truth in the silence, who held your hand when you thought you'd drown. He's the same God who will raise you, release you, and remind the world that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. So wait, not passively, but actively, worshipfully, expectantly. He's not finished, he's just getting started. There will come a day quiet and ordinary when the shift begins, not with fireworks or thunder, but with a whisper in your spirit that some name thing has changed. You may not see it, but you'll sense it. A peace is where anxiety used to live. A steady heart where fear once ruled. That is the sign the foundation has settled. And suddenly, doors that were sealed begin to creak open, not because you chased them, but because they were waiting for you to be ready. Opportunities begin to align with your obedience. and the very things that used to feel impossible begin to move toward you not by striving, but by grace. God doesn't promote performance. He honors preparation. And now, because you endured the silent seasons, you can handle the sound of breakthrough. Because you stayed when it was dry, you can carry water to others still in drought. Because you trusted in the fire, you can now carry the fire. Everything begins to make sense in reverse. Every no becomes a thank God. Every closed door becomes a divine detour. Every delay becomes a line in the story you wouldn't trade for anything, because it shaped you into someone deeper, truer, stronger than who you started as. You stop begging for exits. You start asking for endurance. Because you've learned miracles are not just about what happens to you. They're about what God does in you. You become less worried about being seen and more passionate about being sent. You stop needing crowds and start longing for encounters. Your prayers aren't desperate cries anymore. They're declarations of trust. You've been with God too long to doubt Him now. And when people ask you how it happened, how you made it through, you won't have a formula. You'll have a fire. A quiet, unshakable knowing that if it hadn't been for God, you wouldn't be here. So you speak not with arrogance, but with authority. Not because you read it, but because you lived it. You stop apologizing for being anointed. You stop shrinking to fit other people's comfort zones. You've paid the price, and now you walk in the promise. You're no longer intimidated by warfare because you've been through worse. You're no longer discouraged by silence because you've met God there. You're no longer afraid of the wait because you know who waits with you. Your life becomes a testimony, not of perfection, but of persistence. You carry scars that don't shame you, but show others where the light got in. You no longer strive to prove your worth. You rest in the truth that it was never in question. The world may see the fruit, but God saw the fight. And now you don't chase favor, it follows you. You don't hustle for peace, you carry it. You don't panic over purpose, you walk in it. Because now you understand the waiting wasn't a waste. It was worship, it was warfare, it was witness, and if He did it once, He'll do it again. So to the one still in the hallway, still knocking, still wondering if the door will ever open, take heart. The hallway is holy too. Your story is not over. Your delay is not denial. Your God is not done. He's still writing, still shaping, still preparing. And when the time is right, not a minute early or late, He will make it beautiful. He will make it loud. He will make it clear. You won't need to force it. You won't need to fake it. You'll simply step into what's been waiting for you all along, because He is faithful, always faithful. He finishes what He starts, and what He started in you will echo beyond you. You are not here by accident. You are not enduring for nothing. Heaven has been watching, recording, rejoicing. Your faith has not gone unnoticed. Your tears are not forgotten. And the season that almost broke you will become the soil for someone else's breakthrough. So stand tall, stand firm, and walk forward. You are ready now. And what's coming next will make sense of everything you've survived.